Calling to order the Monday, November 20th, 2023 meeting of the 39th Council of the City of Berkeley. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Councilmember Dooley.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gavin.
Here.
Councilmember Hennon.
Here.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Councilmember Villani.
Here.
Mayor Dean.
Here. Our first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Gavin
Support.
with support from Councilmember Patterson. Are there any changes or additions? Seeing none, Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll.
Dooley.
Yes.
Gavin.
Yes.
Hennon.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Villani.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes, the agenda has been approved. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's my granddaughter out there that's singing to us right now. We've reached our first public comments portion of tonight's meeting. If you would like to let us know what's on your mind and in your heart, please step up to the microphone, say your name and city of residence. Council members will not engage you in discussion, but if your concern needs to be addressed by a member of city staff or department, please leave your contact information on the table outside these doors. You may speak on a specific agenda item when it is being considered. So this public comment section is for anything not on tonight's agenda that you feel compelled to share with us. You please come to the microphone, state your name and city of residence.
I didn't expect to get up that early. Thank you. My name is Laura Respecki. I live on Cambridge in Berkeley, and I am concerned, almost emotional, concerned about the Columbia project. I'd like you guys to reconsider the plans that they have in front of us now. I know we're not talking about them tonight. I understand that, but we all have to get together and think through it a little bit more, I think. Worried about all public parking, or the parking for the structure, is in the back. And it's going to bring all the traffic out of the side streets. There's not a lot of egress onto Coolidge. It's going to cause more traffic. We talked about it at length with Dennis. We're losing hours of sunlight because of how high the buildings are. We're losing our environment, we're losing our public, and we're losing our community. We all agree, and I'm going to tell you that they're joining adjacent houses. All of us agree it's time for change, and some of the original plan made sense and seemed reasonable, but the additional requests and et cetera are not good, especially the bridge. I'd like you guys to think, reconsider where we stand, go back to the original planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Hello, folks. My name is David Roberts. I've lived in Berkeley since 1957. We weren't sure we were going to stay here, but the community was so friendly. The schools were so great. We raised 4 wonderful children here. They've all gone on and made names for themselves, far beyond what their dad did. This building that you're talking about down on Columbia, on Coolidge, crossing Columbia to Cambridge, is going to be such an eyesore. It's going to put so much land covered up with concrete again. Now, if you remember, I believe it was in 2014 when we had the worst rainstorm we ever had around here and things did not happen properly. This intersection at 11 Mile and Coolidge was the worst one I ever encountered, and I was driving home from Ann Arbor. Now, if they decide to do, as I have heard, underground parking, what do you think that's going to be like? All you got is concrete there dumping water somewhere to the lowest spot you can possibly find. We're not improving our situation around here. We're just covering it up again with concrete to the benefit of whoever owns the buildings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Anyone else for public comments?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Charlie Kveller, County Commissioner. Hi, everybody. Okay. I was hoping to come and make this meeting last way longer by giving you an in-depth update on what the county has been working on related to aging and economic development and housing and infrastructure. But I see you got a big crowd and a long agenda, so I just want to say congratulations to you all, and I'm more than happy to come back at the December 4th meeting to fully take a Q&A session from you all and also give a full in-depth report. So I just wanted to say hello and congrats on the election or re-election for everyone. And also I left my cards out there and would love to talk to any one of you that has anything to say about anything.
Thank you.
All right.
And just in case anyone wants to, is putting that on their calendar for Commissioner Clavel to come back, if you have questions or concerns, keep a running tally because he loves a good dialogue. Happy to do that. Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, have you received any correspondence this evening?
I have. Patricia Schultz, Berkley, stated the multifamily edifice that is being proposed should be more than a pro forma vote by council. She stated Berkley is predominantly a community of single-family homes. She stated the newly elected city council members ran on the platform of Berkley being a family-friendly community, and the proposed structure contrasts with that. She continued to say monetary concerns are driving construction by the developer. From a sociological viewpoint, there are issues, and clustering people in large structures breeds additional issues. She asks for council to vote no in the future.
Thank you. Before I close public comments, anyone else? Okay, moving on. Ms. Mitchell, please read the items on tonight's consent agenda.
1, resolution number R2423, matter of approving a resolution recognizing Mike Dooley for his service to the council of the city of Berkley, Michigan.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Baker
Support.
with support from Councilmember Hennan. Any corrections or additions? Seeing none, Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Villani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dooley,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes, the consent agenda has passed. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 1 on tonight's regular agenda.
Recognitions, presentations, matter of any recognitions or presentations from the consent agenda.
I've asked Councilmember Patterson to read proclamation number R2423.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Berkley, Michigan, recognizing Michael Dooley for his service as council member for the City of Berkley. Whereas, for the last 11 months, the City of Berkley had the honor of being represented by Michael Dooley as council member of the Council of the City of Berkley. Michael was appointed to serve the city as council member on December 19th, 2022, and has served generously since. And whereas, Michael earned his business degree from Oakland University in 1984, and whereas, since making his home here 33 years ago, Michael Dooley has devoted his time and energy to many community causes in Berkley, including serving as the president of Berkley's Dad Club and coaching baseball each year. And whereas, Michael's civic career began in July 2013 when he was appointed to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. He was appointed to the board again in 2022 before he went on to be appointed to City Council in the same year, where he served the past 11 months. And whereas Michael's resilience on his time-honored values of hard work and diligence has led his immense success as a public servant and civic leader. Michael's contributions to our community as a council member will be sorely missed. And whereas, during the course of the last few months, Michael's duties and opportunities were varied. As the council liaison to both the library board and the beautification advisory committee, Michael was always prepared, informed, insightful, and a voice of reason. Michael has proven himself to be an estimable public servant who has dedicated his personal time, energy, and excellence in improving the quality of life of his fellow citizens. And whereas Michael has earned the respect and admiration of his colleagues and neighbors, and he continues to contribute to the Berkley community. And now, therefore, the City of Berkley resolves, Section 1, that City Council, on behalf of all local residents, offer its genuine thanks and appreciation to Michael Dooley for his dedicated service to the City of Berkley. Introduced and passed at a regular City Council meeting on November 20th, 2023, signed Bridget Dean, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very kind. Thank you.
Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 2 on tonight's regular agenda.
Swearing in ceremony, newly elected members of the council to be given oaths of office by the city clerk, Mayor Bridget Dean, Councilmember Clarence Black, Councilmember Ross Gavin, Councilmember Gregory Patterson.
Madam Clerk, will you please administer the oaths of office?
Yes, I will. Okay, I'll have you raise your right hand. I, Bridget Dean,
I, Bridget Dean,
having been duly elected
having been duly elected
as mayor for the city of Berkeley,
as mayor for the City of Berkeley,
hereby solemnly swear
hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Berkeley,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Berkeley,
and I will perform the duties of my office
and I will perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I will have you raise your right hand. I, Clarence Black,
I, Clarence Black,
having been duly elected
having been duly elected
as council member for the City of Berkeley,
as council member for the City of Berkeley,
hereby solemnly swear
hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of
the
Michigan,
Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Berkeley,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Berkeley,
and I will perform the duties of my office
and I will perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. I'll have you raise your right hand. I, Ross Gavin,
I, Ross Gavin,
having been duly elected
having been duly elected
as council member for the City of Berkeley,
as council member for the City of Berkeley,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Berkeley,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Berkeley,
and I will perform the duties of my office
and I will perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. I'll have you raise your right hand. I, Gregory Patterson,
I, Gregory Patterson,
having been duly elected
having been duly elected
as council member for the city of Berkeley,
as council member for the city of Berkeley,
here do by solemnly swear
here do by solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Michigan,
the Constitution of the state of Michigan,
the charter and ordinances of the city of
the
Berkeley,
charter and ordinances of the city of Berkeley,
and that I will perform the duties of my office
and I will perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Hennan with support from Councilmember Villani. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll?
Hennan,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Villani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dooley,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. The Monday, November 20th meeting of the 39th Council of the City of Berkeley is adjourned. We're just going to take a couple minutes of a break, and we'll reconvene reconfigured and with a new face at the table.
Congratulations.
calling to order the Monday, November 20th, 2023 meeting of the 40th Council of the City of Berkeley. Ms. Mitchell, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Black,
Here.
Councilmember Gavin,
Here.
Councilmember Hennon,
Here.
Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Villani,
Here.
Mayor Dean.
Here. Our first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Patterson,
Support.
with support from Councilmember Hennon. Okay. Any changes or corrections? Seeing none, Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll.
Black,
Here.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Villani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes, the agenda has been approved. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we've come to the first public comments portion of tonight's meeting. Council members will not engage you in discussion. If your concern needs to be followed up by a member of city staff or department, please leave your contact information on the table right outside this door. You have 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind and in your heart. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and city of residence, and please direct your comments to the chair. Ms. Mitchell, have we received any correspondence?
No.
Okay. I'm closing public comments. Ms. Mitchell, please read the item on tonight's consent agenda.
1, approval of the minutes. Matter of approving the minutes of the 39th regular city council meeting on Monday, October 16th, 2023, and special city council meeting on October 30th, 2023. 2, warrant. Matter of approving warrant number 1392. 3, ordinance number 01023, matter of considering the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to repeal section 106-42, outdoor seating, and chapter 106, streets, sidewalks, and other public places of the City of Berkeley Code of Ordinances, to remove references to outdoor seating in the city code as standards have been incorporated into the zoning ordinance. 4, ordinance number 01123, matter of considering the second reading and adoption of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Berkeley, Michigan, to amend section 26-2 and add section 26-3 in chapter 26, building and building regulations of the City of Berkeley Code of Ordinances, to clarify the application of section 26-2 to the entire chapter 26, to require fees for inspections, reviews, permits, and certificates, and to clarify the application of section 26-337. 5, motion number M7623, matter of approving the Oakland County Assessor's contract renewal.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
Support?
Motion made by Councilmember Gavin with support from Councilmember Villani. Any corrections or additions? Seeing none, Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Villani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes, the consent agenda has passed. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 1 on tonight's regular agenda.
Recognitions, presentations, matter of any recognitions or presentations from the consent agenda.
Seeing none, please read item number 2.
Presentation, matter of presenting Berkeley Department of Public Safety civilian citations to Berkeley Department of Public Works employees, Brian Lapine, John Beach, and Brad Doherty, who may have saved 2 lives after warning the residents their home was on fire.
Thank you. Chief Kane.
Good evening, everyone. We have a civilian citation to present. We were going to do 3 of them, but we have 1 now. Ryan, come on up here. On Thursday, September 28th, at about 1:15 p.m., Berkeley Department of Public Works employees Brian Lapine, John Beach and Brad Doherty were working in the Eaton and Mortensen area of the city when they noticed heavy smoke coming from residents at the 1600 block of Eaton. They immediately contacted the Department of Public Safety and responded to the home to alert the occupants who were unaware that their home was on fire. The residents evacuated their home and the fire was extinguished by public safety personnel, along with help from Brian, John, and Brad, who pulled some hose to the back of the house, I heard, for us, helping us put out the fire. Brian, John, and Brad are awarded the Berkley Department of Public Safety civilian citation for their actions in alerting and evacuating the residents of the home and quite possibly saving their lives. So we have the one for Brian here. Congratulations, Brian. Thank you very much. On a side note, in talking to the homeowners, I mean, they really legit didn't know their house was on fire. There's quite a bit of smoke. I heard one of the homeowners actually went to the basement, saw the house was on fire, and said, "Hey, come on, hey, look at this. It's pretty cool." I mean, he didn't say it's pretty cool, but he actually, there was flames, and so they did a great job in getting us there quickly. Right?
Brian, would you like to say anything?
You have to keep it under 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I just hope anybody that saw my house on fire would do the same thing.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for your quick thinking. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 3 on tonight's agenda.
Presentation, matter of receiving the accreditation certificate from the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, MLEAC, which is an independent organization under the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. The MLEAC accreditation was awarded after a hearing on Wednesday, September 27th, 2023 in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Madam Mayor, council people, new council person, my name is Robert Stevenson. I am currently the executive director with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. I spent my police career in the city of Livonia, somewhat a neighbor of yours here in southeast Michigan, 37 years here. Last 7 as chief, 12 years ago. I had the honor of leaving that position to take over as the executive director with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. It's my honor to be here this evening on behalf of the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission to award the Certificate of Accreditation to the Berkley Department of Public Safety. As I said, I spent my police career in Livonia, and I knew the reputation of the Berkley Department of Public Safety. You have a good police department here. I get around the state. I see a lot of police departments. I know that you've got a great police department. But after going through the whole process of accreditation, I'm here to tell you it's a better department than it was before. You have an excellent police department. I think sometimes when you're surrounded by excellence, you don't recognize what some of the accomplishments are, but I'd like to put this a little bit in perspective for you. In the state of Michigan, there's 600 police agencies. Of those 600 police agencies, almost 400 are municipal agencies, like Berkley. And then the other, there's 83 that are departments of sheriff's offices, and then the rest are tribal police, hospitals, and such. Of those 600 police agencies in the state of Michigan, your police department is the 64th department in the whole state of Michigan to accomplish the Certificate of Accreditation. It's a tremendous professional accomplishment, and to put that just in a little bit different phrasing, your department has accomplished what some almost 90% of the other police departments in the state of Michigan have not done yet. I look forward to the day that the rest of the police departments will follow the lead of your department to accomplish this. It's a lot of work. It's done voluntarily. Nobody made them do it. They undertook this task upon themselves. It's no secret that policing in America has come under criticism, much of it warranted over the last few years, and there's been a lot of calls for police reform. I would hope that yourselves and the citizens of Berkley would take comfort in knowing that all of those calls for police reform, your department has accomplished. Every single one of those calls, you've got the policies and procedures are now in place. And they didn't get that when it was called for that. They were in the process, and a lot of that was done before any of those calls for reform were out there. So it is a significant accomplishment. I'm very, very proud of them. I would hope you're also have the same feelings as we do. And again, when I started my little spiel here, I said that we're here to award the Certificate of Accreditation. We don't give them out. They have to be earned. It's a lot of work. And I want to introduce our program director, retired Chief Ronald Wiles, to maybe spend a couple minutes just walk you through what they had to go through to get this. Chief?
Well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's certainly my pleasure to be here to celebrate your fine police department. As mentioned, my name is Ron Wiles. I'm the Deputy Director with the Michigan Association Chiefs of Police and the Accreditation Program Director. Everyone knows what accreditation is. You know, your kids go to accredited schools. When you get sick or need medical care, you go to an accredited facility to get treatment. Accreditation for law enforcement is no different. It's a progressive and time-proven way to increase the performance and overall service to deliver law enforcement services to the community. Your police department should be applauded for the effort because it is a lot of work. Let me tell you kind of the steps that it takes to manage this process. The first step is often the most difficult step. It's the decision to do it. The Berkley Department of Public Safety made that decision not because anyone told them to. As was mentioned, it's voluntary. They did it to make themselves better, to provide better service to the residents, to form a more strengthened police department, and to make their community proud. So they should be congratulated just for taking that one monumental step. I travel the state and talk to a lot of agencies about accreditation, and I hear, I'm getting ready to get ready. Well, that does you no good. So congratulations to them for making that most difficult step. Now, most of the work, though, is done in the second step. It's called the self-analysis phase. As mentioned, we don't give these out. These are earned. We give departments 2 years to accomplish self-analysis. They have an existing set of policies and procedures or written directives. We have a set of 108 best practice professional standards. They have to comply with them. I guarantee you they did not comply originally with our set of standards. They had to make adjustments. And that's why we gave them 2 years to accomplish those adjustments. But it's not just enough to make sure they comply. It's one thing to say you can do it. It's another thing to show that you can do it. So they have to pull these things that we call proofs. And they have to have a document or video or something that shows that they comply with our 108 best practice standards. Now, 108 standards sounds like a lot, but if you look at those standards, a lot of those have bullet points. And some of these have bullet points, 10, 12, 15 different bullet points. So they're pulling close to 800 proofs to show their compliance with our standards. The third step, the on-site assessment. So when they're ready for their on-site, when they think that they are in compliance with all of our standards and that they have proofs for all their standards, they contact me. I send out a team of outside assessors who have been trained in assessment, and they come to the police department. They take a top-to-bottom look at your police department. They look at all the written directives. They look at all the proofs, and they make sure that they mesh, that they're in compliance. If they're not, they don't go to the fourth step. If they do, they get granted authority to go to that fourth step. Obviously, your police department did comply, and they went to that fourth step. That fourth step, they go in front of the MELEAC commissioners, the MLEAC, the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission commissioners, and they sit down and they have a little discussion. The commissioners ask them a series of questions. The director and the accreditation team, they sit and they answer those questions. At the end of that meeting, they make the decision, the commission does, should accreditation be granted. And in this case, as we all know, the decision was made to grant accreditation. Now, by itself, that's quite an accomplishment. They have made a promise to the city of Berkley, to you guys as elected officials, to their department, to their community. Now they have to keep that promise. So in 3 years, I'm going to send another team of assessors to the City of Berkley Police Department, the Department of Public Safety, and make sure they are still in compliance. They will have additional work. When they became accredited, there was 108 standards. Now there's 128 standards. Our program continues to grow. I can't think of a more rapidly changing profession than law enforcement. And it's important that the accreditation program keeps up with those changes. So we'll come back in 3 years to make sure that they're in compliance with 128 best practice standards of law enforcement. It is certainly a significant professional accomplishment, something they should be very proud of. I hope you and the residents of the city of Berkley are very proud of them. And for the actual award presentation, I'm going to ask Executive Director Stevenson to come back up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director, if you would join me. While the director's making his way to the podium, I just want to take 1 second to thank the council, the mayor, everybody else for all of their support. This doesn't happen without the support of the politicals in the city. I know that there was financial stuff that the director had to come to you, and I appreciate that you backed him up. I talked to the director. He says he has a great council that's always there with him and works in lockstep. I wish it was the same all around the state. It isn't, but it is here, and congratulations on that, and thank you so much for supporting the department. So with that, Director, To all who see the certificate, know that the Berkeley Department of Public Safety, having voluntarily complied with the standards established by the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, deemed essential for the delivery of professional police services and the protection of their community, is hereby awarded the Certificate of Accreditation effective the first day of October in the year of 2023 for a term of 3 years. Director, congratulations. Want me to hold that?
Because we own this now, so we have to.
I'm not taking it back.
I just wanted to say thanks again to council, to Matt, my boss, and our entire department from top to bottom. Really worked hard for this. As Ron said, we were getting ready to get ready, and then finally we're like, okay, let's do it. Let's sign the paperwork because we needed that time pressure. I can't tell you how proud I am of the department. I would like to thank specifically the executive staff, Lieutenant Miller, Lieutenant Kobernick, and our accreditation manager, Lieutenant Drew Hadfield, who really was the leader. He told us what to do. We had the spreadsheets and did a fabulous job. He's like a machine. We'd be talking at our mock assessment, and they'd make a suggestion, and they'd be like, yeah, you might want to do that. And he's like, done. So I really appreciate the efforts of particularly these three, but the entire department. It really went from the night shift people to everybody in there, the civilians, especially during the mock. They also rifled through our drawers and made sure everything was locked. And it was a little bit more than just looking at a piece of paper, but it was a great learning experience. They even told us some of the things we were in compliance. They even gave us some advice that would even lessen our liability or make things even better, even though we're in compliance. And that, to me, was kind of the extra step. So thank you to council. Thank you, Matt, and city staff. Thank you to my department and the residents of Berkeley. We really appreciate it. And we want to keep our promise, as was mentioned. And we'll see you back in 3 years. Well, probably before that, but they'll be back in 3 years.
Well, I just like to say you're welcome. And I know the heavy lift that this was, and I want to thank you, Chief Kane, for your leadership and direction, the lieutenants who are here, Miller, Kobernick, and who's that other guy? From Hadfield, for all of your hard work. And I know, your department, your peers have expressed how much hard work you did personally to make this happen. I like that the Berkeley Department of Public Safety was proactive, chose to go after this accreditation without being told, hey, you have to have this. So striving for excellence, striving to do the next best thing is important. It keeps us fresh, it keeps us current, and ultimately it keeps everybody safe. So thank you so much for your efforts on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Mayor, give me just a moment, please.
I'm sorry?
One moment, please.
Oh, wait.
Get a picture of you and your command staff with these gentlemen with this in front of the council.
You don't need us, we need them.
We'd like to get a picture with the chief, his executive staff, the gentleman from MACP, as well as with council behind him.
No.
Sir, if you don't mind, can you step in with the picture and we can share the final product with you?
Yes, I will share the photo.
Just go down, like we like each other.
Say press release.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know, watch over that chair.
It really will.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bring a camping chair.
Yeah.
Center of
gravity is a little bit different for me. Might be better. Probably be more comfortable too.
That's deadly.
Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 4 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M7723, matter of appointing Mayor Pro Tem from November 2023 until November 2025.
Is there a motion to approve M7723?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Patterson,
Support.
with support from Councilmember Black. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Every new council selects a mayor pro tem from amongst its memberships. The mayor pro tem position is outlined in section 4.2 of the city's charter under organization of council. If I may, the person selected to serve as the mayor pro tem shall be deemed to be selected on receiving not less than 4 votes of council. The mayor pro tem shall perform the duties of the mayor when the mayor is temporarily unable to perform such duties, or if the office of mayor is vacated. The mayor pro tem shall preside over meetings of the council at the call of the mayor, and in the event of a vacancy during the office of the mayor pro tem, the council shall appoint from its memberships to fill that vacancy. That is the outline that's given of the position, as well as the council's actions required to appoint that position. They will serve for the entirety of the 40th council, assuming there are no changes or vacancies at your position or that position.
Thank you. Any nominations?
I'll nominate Councilmember Ross Gavin to continue in this role.
Okay. Second?
I will second that.
Seeing no other nominations, Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll on M7723?
Hennan,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem
Thank
Gavin,
you.
and thank
Thanks,
you for
Council.
serving in this capacity. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 5 on tonight's regular agenda.
Resolution number R 2523, matter of designating the time and place of city council meetings and its rules and order of procedure.
Is there a motion to approve R 2523?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Valani,
Support.
with support from Mayor Pro Tem Gavin. Mr. Baumgarten.
As stated in the motion, this accomplishes 2 items needed for the council to proceed. It has and maintains a set of rules and procedures, which equates to a set of bylaws. In your packet, there is a proposed set of bylaws in here that have a couple of changes from the 39th. Most notably, there are updates to sections 6, 7, and then the electronics meeting section as well has some substantive changes to it. Section 6 is the process by which council fills vacancies on boards and commissions, and Section 7 is the process by which council fulfills vacancies on its own, the city council itself. And then the electronic meeting section, some of the language that's in there is a holdover from the allowances that were given during the COVID pandemic. Now we return back to what we consider to be the normal standard set of requirements for rules and procedures that really returns it to the exemption for military service and deployment. Other than that, members cannot attend or vote in council meetings virtually. That there's been no changes from the previous version of that. So those are the largest sections in there. I'm sorry, Section 14 as well. There's a new Section 14. The previous Section 14, electronic meetings, becomes the new Section 14 as well. The previous Section 14 clarifies actions taken following a vacancy or a resignation of the member of council. So those are the largest ones. There's some non-substantive changes, trying to get away from the word shall, making more definitive musts. So it gives council more direction on these. One of the things this will also do is affirm the first and third Monday meeting schedule of the council, which gets into the second portion of this. City clerk has outlined dates. There are a couple of exceptions to our typical first and third Monday meeting schedule. January and August, both the way that holidays fall and the way that city events fall, we'll be meeting on the second Monday of January and the second Monday of August. And then we also have exemptions or days off, if you will, in order to observe holidays in the city's traditional summer schedule as well, where we for July, August, and September we will meet once a month. Each of those meetings does satisfy the charter requirement where this body does meet at least once a month.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion from council? Councilmember Hennan.
Just one quick note on the memo with the scheduling. It talks about 2 budget work sessions scheduled in May. We're looking at moving that up as early as April, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We'd like to find some efficiencies in that process that would have you guys meeting earlier.
So that's the only
Okay,
thing I wanted to
thank
point
you.
out.
Anyone else? Okay. Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll on M 7823.
Patterson,
Yes.
Fulani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. Did we just? My apologies. R 2523 has passed. That's what we were voting on. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Mitchell, please read number 6 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M7823, matter of receiving and adopting the fiscal year 2023-2026 strategic plan.
Is there a motion to approve M 7823?
So moved, Your Honor.
Motion made by Councilmember Baker.
Support.
With support from Councilmember Villani. Mr. Baumgarten.
Sure. Thank you. As council knows, and as the public is about to, we've been working for several months on developing a strategic plan, which is a working document for not only the city council, but also the city's departments and its directors, in order to make sure that all members of our organization are moving in the same direction and have a unified vision for how to accomplish the many, many things that make and keep Berkeley the wonderful place that it is now. So this is the work product of that work up to this point. We're working with Jade Strategies. Ms. Jocelyn Davis is here to present your work to not only the council, but also our community at large.
Thank you. Ms. Davis.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council and City Manager Baumgarten and City Clerk Mitchell. It is a real pleasure to come to you and talk about the outcomes of a really long but very, very serious process that you committed to. And I have a few slides I'd like to share with you, but I will mention first off that there are 3 items in your packet. That's okay. 3 items in your packet that I will be mentioning here, but will not be looking at in detail. It's the outcome summary of the entire process. The second one is an action plan that is basically for the administration, for city manager and his staff. And finally, the action plan just for council. City council did some wonderful work on your own action plan, and I will be mentioning that as we go forward. Okay. Here we go here. I'd like to start out by just reviewing very quickly what brought us to strategic planning in the first place. I shared with City Council as well as the director group a model that I actually use in strategic planning that looks at the various elements of a sustainable change. So when you do a strategic plan, you are going to be making some changes. Hopefully you're improving efficiencies, you're looking at operations, you're looking at culture, and you're making some changes in order to have continuous improvement. Looking at this model, what I'm sharing here is there are 6 elements that need to be present in order for there to be sustainable change in any organization. The first one being vision, which is at the top. This was the work of council. Vision is not just mission, vision, and values, which I understand City Council did actually adopt from the master plan, but it is also looking at what the priorities are for the city, for council, for administration, for all stakeholders, including the residents. But the vision is set by City Council. It's set by the leadership. From their expertise, you're looking at the skill set you have in-house to get done what it is that you'd like to get done. So we're talking about skill set and experience of the staff. The third would be motivation, and this is not in any particular order. These are just the 6 elements that need to be present and need to be strong in any organization to sustain change. Motivation is the third one there, and that is personal incentives. So it is not always about money. Sometimes it's about time. Sometimes it's about relationships. It's whatever is most important to the people who are getting this done, whatever it is the task is. The fourth one there is the blueprint or the action plan, which you worked on as a council, and so did the administrative staff. The fifth is resources, and that is not always about money as well. That could be time, it could be information, access to people, to other resources. And finally, what is mainly missed in a lot of organizations is ongoing evaluation. So one of the recommendations I will be making to council a little later is to speak on performance evaluation. Okay, but those are the 6. The other thing I shared with council and shared with staff is, in my model, I like to show what happens when any of those is actually missing in order to sustain change. So if you have all 6, you will have sustainable progress, right? All 6 of those, including, of course, ongoing evaluation. If, for instance, vision is missing, you have great people who could get the job done. You have an action plan, but you actually don't have a destination, as in this is where we're going to end up. This is the outcome we're looking for. What you'll have is confusion in an organization. If you have everything but expertise, so you have a vision, you have a plan, but you really don't have the folks who can do the work because they either need the training, they are missing skills, then what you will have is anxiety in an organization. If you do not have the motivation, so those personal incentives in order for people to be inspired to be part of the process of change, you will have gradual change. They're not motivated. If you have everything but the blueprint, so the action plan is missing, you will have false starts because you'll always be chasing something shiny, right? If you have everything but the resources, you'll have frustration. People want to get the job done, there's a plan, there's a vision, but they don't have the resources to make it happen. And finally, if you do not have ongoing evaluation, so that you're looking at targets and where are we, and looking along the way, you're not just waiting until the end, you're looking at your targets, you will have temporary change. You have to be able to do that. So based on this model that I shared with City Council and with the directors, we went forward with the strategic planning process. Okay, so City of Berkley strategic planning, this was our goal. Now I'll read this out loud. I don't mean to insult you. I just figure I'll read it out loud. Our goal was to develop a comprehensive 3-year strategic plan, so 2023 through 2025, that provides clear direction, improves process efficiencies, operations, reinforces a collaborative culture, and aligns with the organization's brand. We actually had several meetings with council. I believe we met 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. We did. And staff also met several times. And I've outlined here the process and what we did. So City Council, the first thing we did was talk about the process itself and look at what objectives we might be talking about. Actually, I met with the city manager first, and we had that conversation. That was way back in January, I think, before we started the process. With City Council, we looked at the culture and environmental assessment, meaning we thought about what kinds of trends were current in the city. We looked at what the areas of opportunity for change were in the city. We looked at the assets that the city had. And from there, you use that kind of information to identify the priorities. We did that. We also looked at the strategic priorities and did a little bit of training, right? Leadership development in governance best practices. Had that conversation. And finally, our last conversation together, our last meeting, was to do the action plan for effective governance, which you'll hear just a little bit later is one of the 6 priorities. With the directors, we looked at strategic content based on the foundation set by City Council. So you identified as a City Council what those priorities were, and from there, the directors said, let's look at objectives to make sure that we can hit those targets. And then finally, we did action planning around all of the other 5 priority objectives. And I'm saying not effective governance because that belonged to City Council. Okay. All right, so as we finished our environmental assessment and looked at all of the pluses and the opportunities for change in the community, these 6 were actually identified by City Council to be the 6 priorities for the next 3 years. That's administrative operations, community amenities, economic development, effective governance, fiscal responsibility, and marketing and brand management. Administrative operations. I want to explain this. This is actually very much a signature of Jade Strategies and how we do strategic planning. A lot of other organizations that do this sort of work will say, here's your mission statement, your vision, and then here are some objectives. What we like to do at Jade Strategies is come up with an outcome statement, a priority outcome statement for each one of the priorities so you actually have a target. You know that it's not just we're interested in being better at administrative operations. To what end? To what end? It is Berkeley's government implements business best practices and continuous improvements that result in accountability, transparency, innovation, cost effectiveness, and operational efficiency. This means that now the objectives will be very specific to this. So that's why I like to do an outcome statement. Here we go, community amenities. It's Berkeley implements both long and short-term plans that maximize use of current spaces, addresses growth needs, maintains infrastructure, and provides opportunities for regional partnerships. For economic development, in response to changing community needs, the City of Berkeley establishes diverse and proactive initiatives that result in sustainability and growth within a culture that supports divergent business functions and initiatives. Effective governance. As a trusted community steward, Berkeley City Council practices standards of excellence in government leadership and actively engages in strategies that realize priorities and achieve the city's vision. Very specific. Fiscal responsibility, Berkley maintains operations, advances growth, and supports development by actively managing the city's financial resources and proactively pursuing alternate funding options. And finally, marketing and brand management. Berkley executes a research-based communication strategy that increases stakeholder awareness, attracts critical partnerships, and positions the city as a respected and visionary thought leader. These are good. You did a lot of good work there. Covers a lot. Remember that with a strategic plan, you still have your regular day-to-day operations that will happen. The whole point of a strategic plan is we're looking at what else do you want to do outside of your regular, everyday work as a city government. What kinds of projects, what kinds of initiatives would you like to take on that will move you to the next level? Always, right? Okay, so administrative operations. Now what I'd like to go into, I'm going to talk about the objectives that these directors came up with the exception, of course, of governance, of effective governance, which belongs to council. So under administrative operations, the two main objectives for the next 2 years will be maintaining employee performance excellence and ensuring program and service efficacy and efficiency. That covers a lot. For community amenities, the objectives are implement building and facility assessments, develop facilities maintenance budget, identify regional partners that inspire community will, and finally, determine resident and business owner priorities. For economic development, we're to attract new and continued investment for each distinct major corridor, encourage commercial parcel consolidation, identify marketable properties, enhance effectiveness and benefits of the DDA funding model, secure Planning Commission and City Council support for the master plan, which is already happening or happened, and facilitate expanded and diverse housing options for each district or corridor. This is the work of the directors, and I'm hats off. Really good work there. Effective governance, this is for City Council, and this was based on the work that you did as a council for 2 good long sessions. We had 2 good retreats there. Implement a strategic performance evaluation process. I want to say a little bit about that, not just for the city as a whole, the administration as a whole, but City Council from those conversations is looking for evaluation for staff, for council, for the city and its priorities based on the strategic plan, some kind of an evaluation process that looks at all of that on a regular basis. Building public will is another one under effective governance. Mitigating challenges and risks. Realizing a think regional strategy. And finally, promoting a culture of leadership, excellence, and collaboration. I will be saying a little bit more about that on a slide that's coming up pretty soon because you did a little bit of extra work on that one. That's coming up. Fiscal responsibility. Those objectives are to execute best practices in fiscal management, to implement long-term forecasting, and to secure grant funding. So good ones. And finally, marketing and brand management. The objectives are to develop a comprehensive communication strategy for the city, promote the city's organization's identity and brand, maximize stakeholders' interests in and commitment to the city initiatives, and develop and update communication policies and procedures. These are good. These are great. So I made some recommendations for staff, and I also made some for council. Here, Berkley staff directors met in 2 separate retreats where they did the work of looking at objectives based on the priorities. We did a community needs assessment, which City Council also did. We looked at the strengths of the city as it stands, areas where we can make some improvements or some opportunities for some change. We looked at trends, and they did that. They also looked at the priority objectives, as I said before, and they also did some leadership development and team building. My recommendations are, of course, the performance evaluation. Want to make sure that that happens, especially at the administration level. Also, making sure that there is a meeting rhythms that's happening throughout the city. What that is, just in brief, is that when there are projects that the administration is working on or initiatives, that they actually look long-term out at where the target is for it, and then they create smaller targets and base all of their meetings and their expectations around progress on that meeting rhythm. So we talked about that probably at length. Looking at ways to increase trust and sustain trust across the organization. This is the administration. Also, continue to engage coaches and engage other experts in planning and coaching. And finally, making sure that some sort of an annual culture assessment happens every year so that we understand how the staff is feeling, what's going on, are they seeing the progress based on the strategic plan? And I'm going to speak to that also in just another moment. Now, for City Council, I shared this quote from Patrick Lencioni, who is a strategist and he is the author of 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, The Advantage. He's written many books that are on culture building in organizations. In his quote here, organization health will one day surpass all other disciplines in business as the greatest opportunity for improvement and competitive advantage. We talked about the fact that there are smart organizations. Those are the ones that have their finances in order. They're branded. People know who they are. They have their operations, their technology is probably advanced, or at least 21st century. But we also talked about health, and health is different from smart. Health means that you have minimal turnover. It means that you have minimal confusion. People understand their roles. They understand what the expectation is. There's accountability. There's all of that. That actually is what a healthy organization looks like. Berkeley City Council met for 3 sessions, as I said before, did the visioning and some team building and some leadership development. And this I'd like to share. I thought this was really a good job on council's part. I asked the question, what are the characteristics of a successful organization? And this is what City Council came up with. I don't think you knew at the time, but you were creating your own blueprint, right? You were saying that vision and people feeling valued and transparency and stable finances, these were all of the characteristics of a successful organization. We also looked at best practices in leadership engagement. These were my recommendations to City Council. Partner with the city manager. I have had a lot of experience working with municipalities, and I have to say that I am really proud of Berkeley, because you do work in partnership with the city manager as opposed to it being, combative, and that's really wonderful because that doesn't happen all the time. Looking at all of the rest of this actually are things that you would do anyway. Fiduciary responsibility where it comes to fiscal management, overseeing business affairs and properties, and then of course approving not just the strategic plan but the operating budget and the master plan. These are all things that are best practices for leadership. Now this is the one I really want you to look at here because you made this yourself. I asked the question, for you to be a highly functioning city council that is productive, that is progressive, what do you need to do? What are your rules of engagement? What do you need to do every time you get together as a council so that you can be the most productive? These are the things you said. You were looking for each other to be authentic, honest, open-minded, listen to understand, not just to respond. Assume that everyone has good intentions. Make that assumption up front. I thought these were really, really wonderful. These would be good for any organization or any family for that matter. But this is terrific for City Council. I wanted to remind you of that because I think you are actually following your rules of engagement, and if you're not, I'm reminding you. Okay, so next steps for the strategic plan are this. Of course, it's City Council approval. I'm going to suggest to you that basically, my slides 4 and 5, and you have the handout there in front of you, that you don't necessarily approve the action plan. You approve the priorities and the objectives only. This is what I'm going to suggest. The rest of it needs to be a living document. The reason I say that is because there is plenty, as you'll see in the action plan, especially for administration, there's some areas that are still blank, right, that don't have something there. That's because it is on City Manager Baumgarten and his team to actually fill that in with strategy, right? So that's why that's there. But my suggestion is approve your priorities and your objectives. Community conversation and staff culture survey are the next steps in this strategic process. And that is community conversation. We talked about either having a focus group or actually having an open forum and bringing residents together. That'll be at the pleasure of the city manager and city council to decide what it is you'd like to do in that regard, but they're probably looking at first quarter for that. And the second piece is staff culture survey. So we want to make sure that the staff has the incentives that they need to actually make the sustainable changes that we're asking them. So we will be asking them about the culture. Do they have what they need? We have a number of questions that directors have come up with that are very, very helpful in next steps. So that's where we stand at this point. I will entertain questions, but before I do that, let me just say it has been a great pleasure working with this city council and working with staff and working with city manager Matt. I think that I've done this for many years. I've been doing this, my company is 14 years old, and I've been doing this for well before that when I worked for other people. And I know when I'm working with good people who are committed to actually making the changes that you have outlined here. So thank you very much for being so cooperative and for being such a great group to work with. Thank you.
Well, thank
Okay,
you.
questions?
And I appreciate your leadership and direction in this and really calling all this council to their best, because that's when you get an output that we have here before us tonight. Any comments or discussion from council? Councilmember Hennon?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm really pleased with this. You know, I think it's going to get us all going in the same direction. We all have good individual ideas, but we don't have the staff to do everything. And I think this is going to really help us focus on those higher priority items first. Just a question for City Manager Baumgarten. So what's our plan going to be to start setting the dates, setting assignments, and tracking the progress? And then as we go through that, I would like to see that we get regular updates to council on how we are progressing on each thing.
Sure. Absolutely, regular regular updates to council are going to be a significant part of making sure that the accountability portion, that the staff is working to pursue the council's vision and the direction that you guys are setting. We are meeting, assuming this is approved by council this evening, our director's meeting tomorrow. This is going to be an agenda item to immediately start putting this into practice and then reporting out to you the plan for how exactly we're going to fulfill the rest of the portions of this, as well as how we plan to stay on task with implementing these items. So I'll definitely have more to report to council. I would like to be able to feature this on a interval report to this council during this meeting so that the community has the benefit of also hearing how we're enacting this plan.
Yeah, and I'll just comment, City Council has our own role in this, and I'd like for us to be held accountable too,
Sure.
and the progress reports, including how we're doing on our part.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Councilmember Valani?
I just want to thank you so much for all of your support that you gave us. I always feel like I'm doubly fortunate since I've gotten to know you in my professional world as well, and then getting to work with you here was an added bonus, and just your leadership and guidance that you gave to us to work through this plan was just invaluable.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My pleasure.
Any public comments? I probably should have asked that first. No? Okay. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll on M7823?
Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. Motion number M7823 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 7 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M7923, matter of approving a proposal from Hubble, Roth, and Clark for combined sewer system planning assistance for a not-to-exceed amount of $34,200. This work is eligible for reimbursement on a one-to-one basis under the recently awarded Oakland County Critical Infrastructure Grant Program.
Is there a motion to approve M7923?
So moved.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Gavin with support from Councilmember Hennon. Mr. Baumgarten?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One thing we never get tired of saying is we have grant dollars that we've won.
Right.
And in this situation, this grant was specific to stormwater management. And kudos to our Department of Public Works, the director and staff, and then their work with HRC on landing that grant, and as well as Commissioner Cavell, who was briefly with us earlier, who was also helpful in helping us get that. But it's one thing to win it, it's nothing to administer it. That likewise falls on our DPW as well. So this proposal is how they plan to receive support from engineering services through Hubble, Roth, and Clark.
Thank you. Mr. Young?
Good evening. This is actually part 2 of the grant. The previously awarded was the lead and copper, basically our inventory for lead and copper services. So this is the stormwater side. And what this will do is they're going to give us some realistic goals and objectives that we can do to improve stormwater on both the city side, on our property, and any large parcels, say like the school district. We can make some recommendations to them. But these would be realistic, not life-changing. These would be affordable options that we can do to make our system more resilient. Phase 2 will be looking at our stormwater ordinances, making recommendations for changes there, both on residential and private properties. And that will kind of morph into the next thing on the agenda and community development. But that's going to be the major portion of it, I think, is looking at that. Trying to make it feasible for building in Berkeley, but still maintain a system that's collecting as much stormwater as we can, and financially makes it feasible for someone to come and build in Berkeley.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Any public input? Questions from council? Discussion? Councilmember Hennan.
I just wanted to circle back to a comment that was made in citizen comments from Mr. Roberts about the potential of flooding from the Columbia PUD. Our practice is requiring stormwater retention for all these new developments. So at minimum, as we move forward on these kind of things, it will not get worse. And in most cases, I think the situation becomes better. So just wanted to make that, and it's not just this project, it's all the projects that we look at that and try and evaluate that. So.
Thank you. Mr. Young, I do have a question about restricted covers, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what percentage of restricted covers do we have in the city, and what is the plan in terms of moving forward? Is there a number that we're going for?
We're about 50 to 60%.
Okay.
It's always changed because we're always changing them, so
Right.
that number may float a little bit. But this will address, on as far as city properties, where we can put more.
Okay.
And still not have a big risk of flooding homes from actual surface water.
Right.
We want to be able to take that water, get away from homes, but we don't want it all at one time. We want it limited. Any new structure we put on gets a very restricted cover. Any Wiltshire, Kenmore, they got very restricted covers. And sometimes we have to change those out and put something with a little more opening on it because it just doesn't take water fast enough and you get a lot of surface flooding problems. But anywhere we can restrict water, we want to restrict water.
Okay, thank you. I always think if the water's in the street, it's not in my basement.
Exactly.
So that's a good thing,
Yep.
but.
I wish everybody thought
Well,
that. We got most of them, but there's a lot of them that, they associate street water, street
Right.
flooding with basement flooding,
Right.
and that's not the case. If it's in the street, we're physically trying to hold it there on purpose
Right.
to keep it out of the basements.
Okay, thank you.
I have a follow-up.
Oh, Councilmember Hennan.
Yeah, this reminded me that we often get the question, I often wonder myself, if I see that flooding in the street and, you can see the debris there, should I clear it out, should someone else clear it out, or should we call DPW so that they can come and do it?
I mean, if it's getting really bad, give us a call. A lot of times, a little debris is slowing it down. It's not the end of the world, but if it's getting over the curb or getting up near the sidewalk and it's still raining hard, definitely give us a call. A lot of people don't realize the hazards when you have water and you can't see what's underneath it. There's a lot of hazards there. The cover could be off, step off the curb and twist an ankle. So if you just give us a call, we'll come out and address it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Ms. Mitchell, would you please call the roll on M 7923?
Baker,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Valani,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. Motion M 7923 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 8 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M 8023, matter of authorizing the city manager to approve the proposal from Hubble, Roth and Clark to provide professional services to update the city's engineering design standards at a cost of $16,145.58. Funds from this expenditure will come from accounts 101-701-817-000, 592-536-821-000, 202-464-821-010, and 203-464-821-010.
Well done.
Really? Is there a motion to approve M 8023?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Patterson.
Support.
With support from Councilmember Baker.
Just a
Baumgarten.
quick note. Just from a process standpoint, just want to note, we think of the zoning code as just one single document, but it changes and updates in a lot of little ways. And this is one of those items going forward towards that overall goal. Just reminding council and the millions watching at home that we will soon have a completely overhauled zoning, a modern zoning code that befits our community. A previous time that we ever even tried something like this was the early 80s. So while it does seem like we keep coming back to council on portions, it's just because the amount of work that's happening here is largely unseen, but is being led expertly by Ms. Kapolansky.
Thank you. That was a great.
It was a
cue
great
up to your
introduction. Yeah.
Piece here.
Well, good evening to council and Madam Mayor. I'm just going to give you a quick intro. This is a project we're doing in conjunction with DPW and did partially come out of the zoning ordinance rewrite as we've been going through those various standards, but also as we've seen some renewed redevelopment and development in the city. So as that's come about, staff has come across several engineering standards that are usually in the city code and would continue to be located in the city code that need to be updated or are not clearly stated. This leaves the city without standards to enforce for developers and developers without clarity. So it is a way for us to make sure that we're maintaining the services that we want to maintain for our residents, but also as an economic development tool so that people know what to expect when they're coming here to develop. Additionally, those standards that we do have are spread in sections throughout the city code. So even if you were trying to figure out what we have, you might miss a section or something like that. So this particular project, in conjunction with the DPW department, would make sure that we're consolidating those standards, adding the standards that we don't have, and updating standards that we need to. So for example, in a lot of places, and if you have specific questions, I will defer to Director Young, but in a lot of places throughout the city code, we defer to Oakland County standards, and those don't necessarily work well for Berkeley, especially given our soils and things like that. So this would give us a more Berkeley-specific set of engineering design standards. This would be financed by DPW and Community Development. As you heard, we're pulling it from several different existing funds. And we would expect that this would be completed in about 5 to 6 months. This would be a companion piece to the zoning ordinance rewrite. And the timing actually would be about perfect if we can stick to this timeline, because that would be close to when we have a draft of the zoning ordinance completed as well.
Nice.
And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Input from those joining us this evening? Questions or discussion from council? You're off the hook. Yeah.
Well, that was easy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll on M 8023?
Black,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Villani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes, motion number M 8023 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 9 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M 8123, matter of authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for senior home chore snow removal service with Luxury Lawn and Snow LLC, 28240 Farmington Road, Farmington Hills, Michigan, 48334. $3,500 will be paid from account 275-902-818-046, and the remaining expenses being paid from account 211-752-818-000.
Is there a motion to approve M 8123?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Patterson with support from Councilmember Villani. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Teresa McCarlton, our Director of Parks and Recreation, and Mr. Dan McMinn were both unable to be with us this evening, so I'll be taking you through this particular item. For those watching at home, community development block grants are a federal program that are administered, in our case, through the county. We are one of many communities that are considered to be non-entitlement communities, so we have banded our purchasing power together in order to have better access to these funds on the federal level. This is one of the many things that we do with those funds. In this case, this typically comes before council annually. We have a snow removal program for our seniors, And every year we have to go back out to bid. Every year we bring forth to you a vendor recommendation. This year, as you'll see in your packet, we went out to bid again. We have received only one applicant. We think part of that is anything that comes through federal dollars, there's a additional level of scrutiny that comes along with that. So the vendors that want to participate in this program, sometimes they're a little bit fewer and far between than we find with some other of our programs. But we are happy to potentially work with luxury. It does sound fancy, but despite that sound, the cost to the individual homeowners who qualify for this remains $5, $10, or $15. This copay is based on the federal HUD standards on income limits. So that is a number that we've been able to keep very low and static for quite a long time, and this does help about 40 homes on a first-come, first-served basis. So we ask that people reach out to our department, even if they hear initially that they are not one of those first 40. But it is good to make contact with those individuals. Ms. McMahon, our Director of Senior Services, does maintain those lists to make sure that that they are added to a mailing list for the future so they can be aware of any changes in this program. So all in all, this is we consider this to be a vital service, especially for those that could not get out and clear snow and ice themselves. This is why we have a third party in there. If you'll recall, we used to be able to do more with these funds. We no longer can. We used to have a summer home tour program. We did have to bring that to a close due to the changes in the way that the federal government allocates funds, but we are still very happy to maintain this program.
Thank you. I do have a question. If people are interested, they contact Parks and Rec?
Parks and Recreation, specifically Dan McMahon,
McMahon.
our Director of Senior Services.
Okay, thank you. Any public input? Discussion from council? Councilmember Hennon.
I wasn't sure, are there spots left this year, or is the program already full?
I would not want to discourage anybody. I really feel like even if it is full, to still reach out. But I don't know offhand if we've already found those 40 individuals yet.
Okay. And then, one of my, year after year, we get one bid, and they're reasonable, but it's not great. And then hearing you talk, I'm wondering if we can find a non-federal funding source, it's maybe even the general fund, and shift something from the general fund to this. I know things are very, with the CDBG funds, very tightly controlled, but if we can shift something around so it doesn't have those federal requirements, and maybe we can get more people. So just something to consider. Sure.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll on M8123.
Gavin?
Yes.
Hennon?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes.
Valani?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes. Motion number M8123 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 10 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M8223, matter of appointing members to boards and commissions.
Is there a motion to approve M8223?
So moved. Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Hennon with support from Councilmember Patterson. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you. The appointments coming before you this evening are all for partial terms. For Beautification Advisory Committee, which has no limit on the amount of people that can join this fantastic group. So both of these are reappointments. Stephen Barr, the appointment to a term expiring July of 2026. Likewise, Jeremy Cohen for an appointment to a term expiring in July 2026. Next up, you have the Zoning Board of Appeals, specifically one of our alternate positions. We do have two alternate positions that back up the regular full board members on this body. That would be Catherine Passanen for an appointment to a term expiring in July of 2026 as well. So these are all these come to you by way of our previous process for filling these roles, and then moving forward now will come under the new system adopted this evening by the 40th Council.
Thank you. Are Stephen, Jeremy, or Catherine here this evening? Okay, then you're off the hook. Any discussion from council? Okay, Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll on M8223?
Hennon?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes.
Valani?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes, M8223 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, will you please read item number 11 on tonight's agenda?
Ordinance number O-1223, matter of considering the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Berkley, Michigan to amend Chapter 66, Article 2, Library Board of the City of Berkley Code of Ordinances.
Is there a motion to approve O-1223?
So moved.
Motion made by
Support.
Councilmember Valani with support from Councilmember Baker. Mr. Baumgarten.
Sure. Just a process note, Mayor. Mr. Church, Director Church is here to represent this item for you, but as he says in the memo, he did work very closely with our Library Advisory Board to bring you these recommendations.
Thank you. Mr. Church, nice to
Great.
see you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Happy to be here. So it's been a long process with the Library Board, looking at its establishing ordinance. The process started 2 years ago when we said, what is this document? And, reading through it, we saw some opportunity to reorganize it a bit, bring it up to date, and have it better reflect what the board is doing. So we took a chunk of really each meeting between then and now to talk about it, revise it, put together draft documents, and then at the same time, we decided to create bylaws for the library board as well, just to keep the two documents in harmony. So the establishing ordinance was a big process, but then the bylaws as well, making sure that the right types of things lived within each document. I met with the city manager and the city attorney on a couple occasions as well, just throughout the revision process to make sure that we were all on the same page. So it's been a pretty robust process, but we're excited to get here to this point, and we're moving forward with bylaws for the library board as well. So that will start in January.
Great.
So
It's been
happy
quite
to-
a process.
Yes, it has been, for sure.
Any public input on this agenda item? Discussion from council?
I just applaud your work and to the board. It's an amazing document, and
oh, thank you.
I'm sure the other boards and commissions are going to be reaching out for consulting now. So
Great.
well done.
Happy to help.
Okay. Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll on O-1223.
Patterson?
Yes.
Valani?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Hennan?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes, O-1223 has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 12 on tonight's agenda.
Ordinance number O-1323, matter of considering the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Berkley, Michigan to amend Article 7, Construction Demolition Site Standards, Sections 106-303 and 106-304 of Chapter 106 Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places to modify the standards for construction demolition sites and to prescribe a penalty for violations.
Is there a motion to approve O-1323?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Hennan with support from Mayor Pro Tem Gavin. Mr. Baumgart, Ms. Kaplansky, go.
Good evening again. This is a pretty straightforward, common sense amendment. Right now, our construction fencing ordinance only applies to residential construction sites, when it seems like it should apply to all construction sites. So we're suggesting this amendment for you this evening. This would apply to new construction and demolition, but also includes provisions that the building official may waive this requirement for minor projects. So if someone's putting up a small addition or something like that, and the whole site doesn't need to be fenced, we would be able to waive that requirement. And that's how we've been operating in practice with the residential construction sites. So we would just follow the same, and that codifies that process for us. There's also regulations that have been included to indicate that the fencing must be in place prior to the start of the work, and that sidewalks must be kept clear and level.
Thank you. Public input. Discussion from council? Yeah, Councilmember Baker.
Thank you. And thanks. Yep, this does seem like a very good common sense thing. I know we've had many conversations in the past about construction sites and safety for passersby and the employees and workers there as well as the residents. So I'm really happy to see these kinds of things working their way into good places like this. So thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll on O-1323.
Valani?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Hennan?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes, O 1323 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, will you please read item number 13 on tonight's agenda?
Ordinance number O 1423, matter of considering the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Berkley, Michigan, to add new Article 8, parklets, to Chapter 106, street sidewalks and other public places of the Berkley City Code to allow greater variety of outdoor service options to Berkley food service establishments of the Berkley City Code by authorizing and regulating conversion and use of underutilized on-street parking spaces.
Is there a motion to approve O 1423?
So moved, Your Honor.
Support. Motion made by Councilmember Baker with support from Councilmember Villani. Ms. Kapelansky.
Okay. So if you'll recall, several months ago, it might have been more than several months at this point, but the Planning Commission and Council met with the city's planning consultant, Carlisle Wortman, to go over the idea of parklets and how we could begin to think about those as part of Berkley. For those that may not know, parklets are raised platforms that convert on-street parking facilities into temporary outdoor seating areas. They're found throughout Southeast Michigan now and kind of saw a boom as part of the pandemic a few years ago. Also included in your packet, because there was some question from council whether or not there was an interest in this from businesses locally, we were able to reach out to several local businesses with the help of DDA Director McGinnis, and there are several that were interested based on the memo that was included in your packet that talked about the cost and what a parklet is and what the return on their investment might be. So we've decided at this point to move forward with an amendment. Carlisle Wortman did draft the bulk of this amendment. I was able to work on that with them. Just to give you some quick highlights, this particular ordinance would allow one parklet per business on streets with speeds between 25 and 30 miles per hour and with the appropriate width. I can go into specific width requirements if you have questions, but I will keep it general for now. There are several requirements for maintaining appropriate pedestrian and bicycle throughways. Standards have also been included for parklet designs, ramps, and platforms, and furnishings. Those furnishing standards were based on the outdoor seating ordinance that we recently adopted and was put into place last year. Parklets would be permitted on the public right-of-way between April 1st and October 31st. It would be the responsibility of businesses to dismantle and store those on the months that they are not permitted. Should council approve the ordinance, staff would then move forward with recommending fees. So we will need an update to the fee schedule to accommodate this new permit and also on establishing an application and procedures.
Thank you. Public input.
Hi, I'm Katie Kutcher. I am a resident of Honeywoods but own buildings in Berkley. I think this is such an important ordinance to consider and to really take this to its fullest planning stages. It is something that will bring not only businesses to the city, a fine city of Berkley, it will bring people to Berkley. We need outdoor seating, and as you know, I'm always supporting this cause, and I'll continue to support this cause until I see it in action. So I hope that you guys can think hard and plan for the future of Berkley with outdoor seating. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Villani.
So I know when we had our original conversations, I was somewhat neutral on this, but since that was much earlier in the year, and then we went through a beautiful summer, and everywhere I traveled, other cities, I started to notice parklets everywhere since we had been talking about them, and noticed the vibrancy that they brought to those areas, how enjoyable it was even to sit out there and do those things. So I think it'll be a wonderful addition to our downtown areas.
Thank you. Councilmember Baker.
Thank you. Yep. To echo those comments, it's certainly, being a longtime fan of our DDA and the great work that they do, I know that this will be welcomed for those portions of our city that are able to take advantage of this. They do have been proven to be safe and popular. And with the right procedures and things in place, I'm looking forward to a very successful implementation in the time, whenever that is, springtime, something good like that. So that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll on O 1423?
Baker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Hennon?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes.
Villani?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes. O 1423 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, please read item number 14 on tonight's agenda.
Ordinance number O-1523, matter of considering the first reading of an ordinance of City Council of the City of Berkley, Michigan to add new Article 18, Retail Pet Store, to Chapter 30, Businesses of the Berkley City Code to require an existing retail pet store to obtain an annual license from the city to prescribe license requirements and conditions, and to repeal Article 17, Retail Dog and Cat Sales, temporary moratorium of Chapter 30 of the Berkley City Code.
Is there a motion to approve O-1523?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Black
Support.
with support from Councilmember Hennon. Mr. Starren.
Thank you. I consider this proposed ordinance that's before you tonight to be kind of part two of what we already started, going back to probably January or February of this year. Council is well aware, I believe it was at our September meeting, that the City Council adopted an ordinance that going forward prohibits the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits in the city of Berkley. It did allow to continue, at least for the duration of their lease, any existing business. We have one existing business in the city that was lawfully established and allowed to continue. This part two, as I call it, is a licensing ordinance that will apply to the existing business. And it incorporates a number of informational reporting requirements that we had talked about previously, originally had included in the first ordinance and then took out in favor of doing it this way. It's reporting information that upon information and belief is information that is readily available. We're not, if this ordinance is adopted, we're not intending to ask the business to create information or to research and find information that is not readily available, but rather to produce the information they do have, file it with the city on a regular basis as is indicated in the ordinance, and then to keep it current. The other thing the reporting information does is provides us with a level of assurance that the dogs that are being sold, and I say dogs because the existing store we have, I understand their stock and trade is dogs. They're not selling cats or rabbits. But these reporting requirements are intended to ensure that the animals were properly sourced from properly credentialed breeders. It had been represented to us during public meetings that that is what's happening, and that is the case, so it shouldn't be any problem complying with these requirements. And then, of course, that the animals are properly and humanely cared for at the store. And certainly, last but not least, this ordinance, we believe, will add some element of consumer protection, that it will provide customers with all the relevant information that is available so that they can make a knowledgeable decision. I kind of view this, I was talking with one member of council just this morning about this. I kind of view this like you go to a car dealership to buy a new car, and what do you see on every car? It's a sticker in the window, right? Telling you where it's made, where it came from, country of origin, basic warranty information. Here's the price, here's the tax, here's the delivery charges. It's really all we're trying to do through this. But in addition, the ordinance, if adopted, does have some teeth in it, that if it's an annual licensing process, but if we come to find that the information is presented is false. It's no different than, this would not be the only licensed business in the city. We have plenty of them. We've just spent a lot of time over the last couple of years licensing marijuana businesses.
We sure did.
We license liquor establishments. We really license all our commercial businesses when you get right down to it. And just as with those other businesses that obtain licenses, if they are providing incorrect information or if they are failing to comply with conditions or with the applicable laws, those licenses are subject to suspension or revocation. And we've included a process and procedure for that, which we've modeled very closely to what we've done for our marijuana business licenses, which, last count, has been upheld 4 different times by 4 different judges now. So I feel pretty confident that we have a solid process that works in that context and should work there. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, but I just wanted to lay it all out for you. So part 2, we already adopted part 1.
Yep.
This would be part 2. There may be a couple of things. I realize this is only first reading, so there could be some further tweaks, and I think I've got I don't know if I guess I didn't include a blank line, but I indicated that, we'll have to set a license fee by council resolution, which I presume will be commensurate with what we do for other licensing, but that's something we may need to kick around and talk about. Usually the fee that we would charge is something that we would intend and design to correspond to what our administrative costs of the program are going to be. If it's simple, then the license fee is simple. If it's more complicated, it's a heavier thing. For instance, with liquor licensing and marijuana licensing, which require a lot of administration time, tends to be a heftier fee as opposed to just a basic general business licensing provision where, Kristen, what is it up to now? But $100 a year, $200 a year? Something like that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I was just trying to make a point. It's far less, but there's far less administration involved. So I'll stop talking here, and we'll welcome any questions that you have or any suggestions as to how this ordinance can be improved, modified, reduced, whatever council's pleasure is.
Thank you, Mr. Sterin. Ms. Mitchell, have we received correspondence?
Yes, we have. Tom Callis, PuppyGram attorney, sent a letter regarding 01523. He stated if approved by City Council with its onerous requirements, it would most likely eliminate his client's existing pet store business. The licensing conditions and requirements contained in the ordinance, although some are understandable from a regulation perspective, are mostly onerous, expensive to implement, arbitrary, and must be modified. Since PuppyGram is the only pet store in Berkeley selling dogs, it is clear that this is being targeted, even though a business license was secured and all ordinance requirements properly followed for issuance of its occupancy certificate to operate its business. He continued the ordinance would have an illegal and discriminatory effect on his client's business, depriving it of due process and equal protection, which would equate to significant damages against the city. The ordinance requirements would also directly result in a taking of his client's business and property rights. He further explained his position and stated the legal basis of an ordinance cannot be arbitrary or capricious.
Thank you. Any other public comments on this agenda item?
Hi, Carla Osborne, Berkeley resident. I'm going to kind of shorten up what I had to go here because I was very happy with your comments and everything that has transpired to get us to this process, get us through this process and what the requirements are. In the attorney's letter, he already states this is all stuff that they already have, but then turns around and says, but this is going to make him lose his business. He contradicts everything that he has said. This is no different than, like you said, any other business, with adding a level of transparency to the public, because this store does affect the public. We've already had one sick dog sold that was within 24 hours, extremely sick. You know, I've presented that to you before, along with a copy of the NDA that was given to that owner to not talk about her sick dog. So it's not difficult. They should be able to provide all this information that they say is already there. Just put it out there. Let the consumers see that. Let them make their decisions on their own. Touting that something is USDA approved, that's great. There are lots of USDA farms out there. It's the same thing that is expected from a cattle and pig farm is what the requirements are for a dog breeder. There's no difference in the USDA's eyes. So it's not, to me, it's smoke and mirrors. You can say all you want, it's great. They went, they checked them all out. Yeah, they have 200 dogs in a barn. Whatever. It's not right. But this gives them the opportunity to say that they're not getting those dogs, to show that they're not getting those dogs from mills. Our whole purpose of this has nothing to do with a dirty store, dogs being mistreated in the building, anything like that. What this has to do with is where these dogs are coming from. They're sourcing through the pipeline from a mill. They are encouraging these breeding practices to continue. His store can be glitz and glamour and, diamonds, everything. But where did they come from before they got there? Where is that money being fed through? That's what the issue is here. So we want something that's ethical, and I think that these standards that we have implemented in this ordinance gives them the opportunity to show who they really are. So I encourage you to keep it the way it is and vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla.
Hi. Thank you all. It's nice to see returning faces, nice to see new faces. I'm Courtney Wooten, Berkeley resident. I want to thank you for the words you spoke this evening. Gave a little air that we're moving forward after a very long time. On October 22nd, I stood outside of Puppygram for over an hour and a half. During that time, what appeared to be a golden retriever puppy was inside one of the small cubicles. For the duration of my time there, that dog paced in constant circles. He did stop on occasion. To change from circling to trying furiously to dig out of that cubicle. That is his home. These are not behaviors of a well-adjusted puppy that is well taken care of. This is behavior that is of a stressed and severely anxious puppy that's been in a cubicle far too long without change. During that time, the employee on duty wandered around the store frequently, and not once did she take notice of that pacing puppy. Our community's been told over and over again that these dogs are well cared for. My firsthand experience shows us otherwise. Puppies for sale and retail are in a major developmental stage where their socialization and behavior patterns are being formed. It's well documented that animals separated from their mothers and put in a cage with no source of comfort don't fare well emotionally. These dogs have no blanket, no toy, no sleepmate to cuddle with at night, and are taught to poop where they sleep. These puppies are then sent into a home where they're expected to be loving, trusting, and understand potty training rules. Then we wonder why our shelters are overflowing. While the situation I witnessed is totally unacceptable, what takes place in the store, as Carla said, is such a very small piece of what is wrong here. The real issue is what is taking place with large volume USDA breeders behind the scenes before the puppies even get to the store. There's a reason retailers are not transparent with their communities and their customers. That's where the dark secrets live and no one wants to see. Otherwise, retailers would be transparent, which is really all we're asking for here. Reputable breeders invite their customers on site. Reputable breeders show the parents. Reputable breeders ensure the dogs are in loving environments so they can become a good pet. Certainly, as a business owner, PuppyGram was aware of the risk of their business and not being greeted with support in our community or any other. It's not an accident. I'll submit my final 2 paragraphs for your review. I think they are as important as what I've said already, so I will submit that to you. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Courtney.
Good evening, Council. Nice to see everybody again. And Clarence, welcome. Really excited to see you here. I'm Tiffany Perkins. I'm from Royal Oak. We have already adopted a humane and ethical ordinance to ban the retail sale of puppies. So again, I'm here to support. I have my own rescue. We're called Paws Friend Network. Yesterday, my rescue took in yet another malformed bulldog from a negligent mass breeder. This puppy has malformed intestines and adapts by defecating from a hole in their sternum. At first glance, they look like a normal puppy. When they bought this puppy, it looked like a normal puppy. Most families do not have funding to pay for a rare anomaly surgical procedure to the tune of $4,000 to $6,000 that we will take on. Especially after purchasing this bulldog for $4,000 to $6,000 that appeared to look normal. Yesterday, in a quick-ditch effort to intimidate City Council regarding this humane best practices proposal, as cited by legal counsel from this puppy store in Berkley, they said applying for a yearly application for licensure, their words are burdensome and a money grab. I would use these same descriptors for investors selling malformed bulldogs to local residents without providing adequate paperwork, and overbreeding using the same bulldog lineage for profit, which creates these malformities. It is my understanding that Louisville and Indianapolis, where there are other retail locations, were not posed with this level of legal opposition, and they successfully passed a full ban without much fuss. Preying on a small town like Berkeley with the threat of an expensive lawsuit to drain their smaller budget is calculated and only further shows attachment to investors' pockets and further proves that the well-being of puppies and their care is absent, as this paperwork is provided when sourced ethically. And I agree, this paperwork would be difficult to produce if these puppies are being sourced from puppy mill brokers across other state lines without humane ordinances and regulations in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Hello, Rachel Schuler, resident from Royal Oak, a former resident of Berkeley. Echoing what everyone else said, really happy to hear what the city attorney stated today, and really happy to read through the proposed ordinance in its first reading. I want to just reiterate the section, I believe it's section 2B. If you go to it, we have information about identifying and transparency on all state and USDA license numbers, names, business kennel names, and location of the breeder, broker, when applicable, and transporter. The breeder to broker to transporter pipeline is very important when it comes to transparency with stores like this. I believe that's why they most likely sent that email, that very long-winded email, with a lot of adjectives describing this ordinance, because it's going to be hard for them. But that is information that, like all of my grassroots concerned neighbors and community members that have spoke before me, that's what we are concerned with. That is a huge problem. For it to be expensive to put into the store, it's the fact that they mentioned in the email from the attorney for the store in Berkley, the fact that they mentioned that they cannot put this information on the crate might raise eyebrows if the crate's even big enough for a dog in the first place, but I think that we can all take creative license on that in our imagination. And I do want to say that we're not, in reading that email, we're not targeting the store that's in Berkley. The ordinances that have passed in Louisville and in Indianapolis, though we have connected with some of those community members and councils after they have passed, we did not influence any of that. So we are just, again, trying to spread the good word of humane practices when it comes to pet retail stores. We're also just trying to work with our representatives, not only when we're here at the city level, but at the state level as well. So just trying to explain and draw a very good word picture of my support for the ordinance as it is written right now, and hopefully we can see this pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
You guys done? I didn't plan on standing up twice tonight, but I will. My name's Laura Respecki. I live at 2413 Cambridge. I am a high school graduate, married my high school sweetheart, and I stand here today to tell you that I'm leaving my engineering job to become a full-time professional trainer. In the last 15 years, what I have seen and what I'm working with, I have had to step back from doing the fun jobs, playing with dogs, teaching everybody how to sit, to become a behaviorist. I celebrate the dogs that do win with their owners by doing pet therapy programs and working at Beaumont Hospital as a volunteer. But I've also volunteered here in Berkley. But I've had to go to private training, and I understand and I feel heartfelt for all of you. I am a behaviorist because of dog mills. And of course, a lot of dogs are strays. And I can't tell you, during my time of becoming certified as a full-time, as a certified trainer, how many dogs I've had to put down. I've had the luxury of working with a veterinarian, with a behaviorist, and the amount of dogs that we were able to see live outnumbered those that died. We know the strays are different. I also work in canine rehab. And I can tell you that what you heard today is very true. When you ask those owners that you're working with, and I take HIPAA serious even for those owners, when you look at what they go through and what their hopes were, they were trying to bring a family member into their home. And with education and with the right people in front of them, we can find those dogs for them. But it doesn't have to be done by a shoddy business on Woodward. And what I want to do for the last minute is I want to thank all of you. I know this has been treacherous. You've heard a lot from all of us. I know it's been very emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster for all of you. What I heard tonight makes me want to stay in Berkley. It makes me want to represent Berkley as a true behaviorist and dog trainer. Thank you. I hope this passes.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone else? Okay, I'm closing public comments. Any discussion from council? Councilmember Villani.
So just to everyone that has kind of worked with us throughout this journey, we understand we would have liked it to go faster as well. But I think coming here tonight, we can see that we took the time to get it right. Right for businesses, right for residents, right for animals, right for the city. And I'm very proud of all the work, the guidance that we've received from our attorney, from the feedback and input we've gotten from the community, and just want to thank everybody for staying with us and for your patience throughout this process, because I think we have gotten to a place where we can be proud of what we've worked on together.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilmember Hennon.
Yeah, I also want to thank, our public that's, continued to be diligent on this and hold our feet to the fire. I had remarks prepared. You've stolen all my thunder. I don't have a lot to add. But, these disclosures really are only onerous if there is something to hide. He's had plenty of, he says that it's humane from top to bottom and has plenty of opportunity to be transparent, but has, not taken us up on those opportunities. Didn't even come tonight as the attorney said he was going to. So we all have seen that rather ridiculous legal letter, but there was one tidbit that made some sense. The posting of the disclosures on the window, I could see just because of the number of pages being a little bit of a practical difficulty, though I had not thought of, maybe it is because the cages are so small. That's, but so a change I might propose if this passes tonight for a second reading is, and I think this might be better overall anyway, instead of here's a thick packet of all that information, it is we define what the summary information is, and that is what's posted on, think of like the car, like the energy tag on an appliance, but the full information still has to be there, readily available, at request immediately, and is still entirely filed with us. So all the information is still there, but there's a smaller summary that, most people aren't nerds like us reading entire contracts. So, give them the highlights, and then they can go digging in more if they want to. So that would be a proposal that I'd make for a second reading change on this, should it pass tonight.
Thank you. We good? Okay. Ms. Mitchell, please call the roll on O-1523.
Black,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. O-1523 has passed. Ms. Mitchell, who goes first?
Mayor Pro Tem Gavin.
Thank you very much. I'll keep it very short tonight. Parks and Rec, next meeting is December 14th at 7 p.m. at the Community Center. And the next Environmental Advisory Committee meeting will be January 16th at 6:30 p.m. on the second floor, excuse me, of Public Safety. And before my voice goes out, I'll just pass it over to somebody else.
Councilmember Valani.
First off, thank you to everyone who came out and voted in our last election. Your vote is your voice, and it is incredibly important to share that even in our little elections. So thank you to everyone who did that. And welcome back to my two seatmates here, and welcome to Clarence. CEAC and TAC, they are still on hiatus, but will pick up in early 2024, so there's no updates from there. For the Berkley Area Chamber on Friday, December 1st, there's going to be a networking lunch with Royal Oak, Berkley, Clawson, Madison Heights, and Hazel Park at Dog and Pony Brewing Show, or Dog and Pony Show Brewing from 12 to 2. Please register on their website. And once again, thank you to all of our residents that remain active on a large variety of topics. It is with you that we create meaningful change, so thank you.
Councilmember Patterson.
The Planning Commission didn't receive any items for review, so their scheduled 28th of November meeting was canceled. Just a reminder, there is our joint meeting between Planning Commission and City Council on the 30th. In Public Safety, second floor conference room from 7 to 9. And just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Obviously, thank you to the voters who cast their ballot on November 7th. And as we look around at this thankful week, just be thankful for something here, even in our Berkley.
Councilmember Black.
Madam Mayor, team, I'm beyond honored to be a part of this team. I want to thank the city manager, city attorney, staff, everyone that has welcomed me and and helping me try to remove the deluge that is behind my ears. I do want to say I know that we just passed Veterans Day, but I want to encourage everyone as a veteran, our community, we really need you beyond the 11th. So, you know, I always say, you know, salute a vet on the 12th and the 13th or April 17th, you know, every day try and make it Veterans Day because, you know, our community really does need you, you know, even our first responders, but specifically that. And I am very looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Hennon.
Okay. I apologize ahead of time. I have a surprisingly long communications tonight. The tree board met last month. We heard an update from DNR on spotted lanternfly. We've heard a lot of doom and gloom about it. It won't kill trees, but it is a real nuisance. If you see one, take a photo of it, then kill it immediately, and then report it to the state. And the site where you can do that reporting and where you can find more is michigan.gov/SLF. That's for spotted lanternfly. So michigan.gov/SLF. The city, we did not receive the DTE tree grant, but we didn't expect that really since we were recent recipients of it, but it was very simple to apply for to shoot the moon there. We're still waiting to hear back from DNR on tree grant for Oxford Park. The tree board is also working with the DDA on recommendations for replacing and keeping the trees healthy in the downtown district. Their next meeting is a week from tonight. And then the Zoning Board of Appeals heard a case on a vacant residential lot. A home wanted to be built there, but one of the neighboring lots built in 1934 was too close, but the ZBA denied it because they found a smaller house could be built on the lot and still meet our laws. And they will not have a December meeting. No cases came. I think since we last met, most of us were able to make the Michigan Municipal League Conference, and it's always good learning from our peers. And my two biggest takeaways were learning to become a more effective communicator and some ideas for attracting and retaining talent in the city. I also continue to serve on the Elected Officials Academy, and where we're trying to help elected officials learn more so they can do better and become more effective leaders. And I was reelected vice president on that board. Councilmember Patterson mentioned the Zoning Ordinance Steering Committee. I wanted to really emphasize that meeting coming up on the 30th, the joint meeting, and it's going to be to discuss where we are in the zoning rewrite process, and I really want to strongly urge that everyone review those materials ahead of time and come prepared, so if there's any concerns, we can make sure that the steering committee is headed in the right direction, because where I don't want to get is at the end of a 2-year process, we bring it before the Planning Commission, bring it before here, and it's not what we or the community wanted. So, if we're going the wrong way, would like to take care of that now. And I'll save this next one for next time. So,
Well, congratulations, Councilmember Hennon.
Thank you. And that's all I have.
Councilmember Baker.
Hey, that's me. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Happy almost Thanksgiving and almost North American Heritage Day. Our Downtown Development Authority, DDA, met on Wednesday the 8th, and I'd like to thank them for all of their hard work, all the volunteers, all the businesses, everybody for a very successful Berkley month. I get a kick out of doing that. I'm going to still say that like in April or something.
Please do.
Yeah. But something a little less scary, and a little more festive in the next sense comes a Merry Month. So the Merry Month celebration activities is almost upon us. Small Business Saturday is this Saturday, November 25th, so please shop local that day and many other days, in fact, almost every day if you can. The Holiday Lights Parade and earlier events throughout that day are Saturday, December 2nd. It's always the first Saturday in December. The Merry and Bright Shopping Nights, where our businesses stay open a little bit longer, are on Thursdays, traditionally here, December 7th, 14th, and 21st. Are the Merry and Bright Shopping Nights throughout our downtown. And there will be a Jolly Trolley throughout the downtown on Saturday the 9th to help you visit all the corners of our downtown and all the many wonders that it has to offer. For more information on our downtown, visit downtownberkeley.com. Our historical committee met on Tuesday, November 15th. We're very pleased to report that 5 students from Berkeley High's Social Studies Club attended the meeting, and I'd like to thank them for coming and for your interest in volunteering with the museum on projects going forward, so thank you all to that. And speaking of projects, if you have fun scanning photos and documents and doing cool stuff like that, because there's a few of us out there that like that kind of stuff, the museum is looking for help. They are embarking on a large project and could use some volunteers to come on in and help digitize some of Berkeley's history so we can enjoy it in the future. See what I did there? Yeah. Anyway, so please come and visit the museum at the end of said Holiday Lights Parade on December 2nd. The museum will be open, and there'll be treats and snacks and stuff in there, along with folks who are happy to answer questions. And if that's your first time in the museum, hopefully you'll enjoy it enough and want to come back. Visitors are always welcome. The museum is open on Wednesdays from 10 until 1, and Sundays from 2 until 4. And you can also visit us at berkeleyhistory.com. And finally, it was Billy Chapata who once said, "Don't be afraid of new beginnings. Don't shy away from new people and new energy and new surroundings. Embrace new chances as happiness." And I'd like to again thank and congratulate our 39th council for all their hard work, and here's to the 40th council. It's pretty awesome. This actually marks my 14th year on city council here. It's crazy how many cycles we've been through and how much I've learned and grown, and I'm so amazed at the progress that our community has made just in this brief time that I've been able to and so fortunate as to serve. And there's lots of opportunities and challenges ahead for us as the 40th, and I'm looking forward to moving forward together and taking it on. So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to say, please, again, stay safe and hug somebody you love, especially here in the holiday season. But again, that should be something that's done on a regular basis, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This was a long agenda tonight, so you've had the opportunity to hear from many of our directors and departments. Just tonight alone, you've heard from directors Kane, Young, Kapolansky, and Church, as well as seen the fruits of the efforts of Director McCarlton, and then all those who helped craft our strategic plan, at least the staff version of it. This being the season of expressing gratitude, I want to say thank you to my staff, who put in more work than anyone can ever ask and endure more stress than anyone will ever know. And speaking of hard work and stress, I want to highlight the recent accomplishments of our city clerk and her success in administering the November local election. Not only does she lead a staff of a full-time and a part-time employee, but she also leads a small army of poll workers and precinct captains who, because of Victoria, are well prepared for all possible challenges that come up over the course of a 16-plus hour day. So well done to our city clerk on that. She's truly a guardian of democracy, and she makes it happen local, regional, state, federal, you name it, she's ready for it kind of elections. We do have a tendency to kind of focus on the small inconveniences, but I think we should all consider how fortunate we are to live in a community where the small things can be so noticeable, and that's one of the great things about living in Berkeley. So happy Thanksgiving to all from myself as well as my staff.
Thank you. Mr. Sterin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No legal developments to report tonight, but I too want to congratulate and welcome new council member Black, and congratulate you, Mayor, and our two re-elected council members on your re-election, and I'll join with everybody else. Wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and go Lions.
Thank you. I would just like to take a moment to thank Mike Dooley, not only for serving on council, but for his years of service to the city of Berkeley. To Councilmember Black, congratulations and welcome to the team. And I look forward to serving with the 40th Council. Congratulations, Councilmember Patterson and Mayor Pro Tem Gavin, and thank you for continuing to do that work. As we all know, Berkeley Days was upended, and historically there's always a Humanitarian of the Year and Person of the Year. So those awards were given out just this past Friday night. And I was honored and privileged to present those awards. The Humanitarian of the Year is Valerie Van Slambrook. She's, if you go to Chemistry Salon, you may know her, but she's just a little dynamo. She is a caring, passionately engaged community member. She spends her free time filling the little free libraries around the city, the food pantries. She picks up trash off the street. She works with an organization that sends hundreds of cards and letters to seniors who are lonely, troops overseas, basically anyone in need. Valerie recently completed 535 hours of service, community service, and received the President's Volunteer Service Award from President Biden. And she's young and just full of energy, and meeting her, I mean, I knew her before just from around town, but seeing her there Friday night with her family and just seeing her enthusiasm, you know, we live in this community and it's easy to look around and think, oh, this could be better or that should be done. But Valerie she jumped in and is doing. So I applaud her efforts and her commitment. And I think, again, we're fortunate to have someone like her in our community who really makes a difference. Now, the Person of the Year went to Jack Blanchard, and that was really funny, really. It was a surprise. His wife got him there, invited their family. He thought he was just there for dinner. And when I said his name, I think he spit beer. I mean, it was like he was so surprised. Jack served in the United States Army for 30 years, 12 of those in active duty and 18 in the reserves. He served 10 years on the Berkeley City Council. He was a volunteer firefighter for 25 years. He now serves as the city's emergency manager. Jack also drafted the Berkeley's first emergency management plan, and I didn't know the importance of this plan before coming to council, but if there is some disaster or emergency, if a municipality does not have that plan, you are not eligible for federal funding. So it's a really critical piece that Jack spearheaded and put into place. He volunteered, all of those things volunteer. He's well-known and respected in the Oakland County Incident Management Team and the Oakland County Local Emergency Planning Committee. Again, volunteer positions. Jack is a 43-year member of the Berkeley American Legion Post and presently serves as the Sergeant-at-Arms on the Post Executive Board. Again, another volunteer position. Jack has been a friend and mentor to me for the past 6 years. When I first came to council, Jack very generously took me under his wing, answering all my questions, and I still reach out to Jack periodically. Less questions, and the questions are different now, but he always has time for me, and I'm very appreciative of that. I can't think of anyone more deserving of that recognition than Jack. He, I don't know what that emergency management coordinator position is volunteer, and I don't know what we're gonna do when Jack doesn't wanna do that anymore, because it is really critical. But anyway, congratulations to Valerie and Jack. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Patterson.
Support.
With support from Councilmember Black. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll?
Hennan,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. The Monday, September 20th, 2023 meeting of the 40th Council of the City of Berkeley is adjourned.